the power of purity. The soul in its original, pure, clean state, untainted by any negativity. When somebody has the power of purity, you really feel it. And you feel their depth of honesty and integrity. And this total trust through the power of purity. And joy. When there's joy inside, I'm cheerful, I'm enthusiastic, courageous. You know, where does courage come from? Courage comes from a happy mind. When you're happy, there's a lot of courage. And courage takes us from the impossible to possible. And I know that in my own life, so many things that I'm doing today, that if you told me 20 years back or 30 years back, I would be doing those things, I would have told you, you are absolutely mad. I would never do that. But courage makes the impossible possible. Again, I can only think of Daddy Janki and what she does at 92. And if I tell you her schedule, you'll feel tired just listening to it. Courage. She does not set any limits for herself. And I say to myself, I don't want to set any limits. And then that presence of being a full human being. Really, this is what we're talking about. The power of presence is being fully human. Using my virtues and qualities. But along with those, there are also powers, because we need powers to work in life. And in the teachings of Raj Yoga, we have 8 powers. Some of you will know them who've been through our course. But if you look at those 8 powers, contemplate on them, you'll see that they actually cover every area of life. So let me go through them very briefly, because the powers and the virtues are what make you fully present. 2 powers related to the mind. The power to put a full stop, to control our thoughts, to redirect our thoughts. We call it the power to pack up. So all your essentials, leaving behind what's waste. You all know about clearing clutter and how good you feel when you clear out the clutter physically. And when you clear out the clutter from your mind, you only keep that which is pure and essential in your mind. And along with that, you have the art then of thinking, acting, and then going back into silence. Problem is that when we come into action, our thoughts stay in the action, and then we lose that power of our presence. The art is to act and think when you need to act, and then go back into silence. There's a lovely image for that we use, that of a tortoise. You know, a tortoise will put out its limbs, will walk, and then it'll withdraw. It'll go back into its shell. And of course, we're not talking about withdrawing here in terms of fear, but going back to my original state of being back in soul consciousness. And this is really a very powerful thing to practice. If you can keep going back to that purity of thought, then whenever you need to think and you need to act, every thought will be very powerful and productive. So this power of the mind. And then along with that, something that we're doing all the time. We're discerning and we're taking decisions. And for that I need a lot of clarity. I need that stage of being a detached observer. So I'm soul conscious and I'm not allowing myself to get emotionally involved. There's a difference between emotions and, well, I'm using this word emotions in the sense, emotions are feelings. So let's say When we say about getting emotionally involved, it means that I'm affected, my emotions go out of my control. But in fact, let me keep pure emotions, pure feelings that do not get mixed in with the feelings of others. Very often people feel that I can only be sympathetic if I mix my feelings with the feelings of other people, right? I have to feel what the other person is going through. And I used to struggle with this because Daddy would tell me not to do this, and I would feel I had to do it. And when I would mix up my emotions with others, the emotions of others, the vibrations mixed together, I would always feel that I would lose my power. And then when I learned that actually, if I stay in my own pure feelings, I can actually support that person much more. That was a big revelation to me. It's not about being cold, it's not about being harsh. It's about being fully present for them. Because when there's a mixture in your feelings, again, you can't be fully present. So that's a very interesting one. The power to discern, the power to take decisions, so that we have a lot of clarity, because there's definitely a lot of deception in this world. And we have to be able to know very clearly what is real and what is not real, what is truth and what is false. We need that power. We need the power to face. I only can face situations when I know I'm an eternal soul. Otherwise, I'm going to get fearful. The only way to conquer fear is to become totally soul conscious and to be immersed in God's love. There are lots of stories of where people have conquered many dangers through this. But I just tell one story. There's one of our daddies, she's passed on now. She used to serve in the Punjab. And at that time in the 80s, it was quite violent, and we did have several incidents at our centres. And while she was there, she was very fearless. We used to give her she had a nickname. She was called the Lioness of the Punjab. She's a very powerful individual. She had a power of presence, and she was tall as well, so she was really towering over you. And in a small gathering once, somebody asked her, "Daddy, what would you do if somebody pointed a gun at you?" And she didn't want to answer the question. And this person kept insisting, "Tell me, if somebody pointed a gun at you, what would you do?" And, I thought she may say, "I'd remember God, I'd be with God, I wouldn't be scared." But her answer blew my mind a bit. She looked at this person and she said, "But how is it possible that anybody could point a gun at me? If they came towards me, they'd just see light. Or if they tried to lift up their hands, their muscles would go weak." She had so much faith, so much presence, that she could never even have the thought that anybody could be violent towards her. And I believe her. I believe it's true. So, that power to face, the power to tolerate. Who feels that they're tolerating things, tolerating people? And tolerance is not toleration. When you really have that power to tolerate, that's when even to the person who's the most, insulting, negative towards you, you're able to give them love. And only love. Then you have the power to tolerate. You don't buy into what they're giving you. Problem is, we all the time buy into what the other person's giving, instead of giving the more powerful, positive thing in return. And then the further two.